Howdy, howdy, everybody, and welcome to Take the Challenge Denver. We're so excited to be hanging out with you this morning. Woo! And as you can see, we have this whole group of people. We look like the Brady Bunch or Hollywood Squares or something. But you know, one of the things I figured out is that when you try to do things alone, it's depressing. You don't really make that much of an impact. But when you just reach out and find partners to help you, wow, you can do so much. And people are out there and ready to work with you and help you make your dreams come true. And this is what they do, and they're looking for people like you to work with. And so here in Denver, we've got a ton of folks that have expertise, that are on the ground doing stuff, and today we just want to connect you to everybody. So I'm going to introduce everybody a bit later as we go through our whole session. So for now, I just wanted to get you excited to meet everyone. So I'm going to take everybody off screen for a second and bring them back on shortly. Okay, all right. So the big reason that we're here today is that I want to let you know about the 2021 International Climate Action Challenge. So last year, we got our book out, the Climate Action Challenge, the proven plan for launching your eco initiative in 90 days. And we recruited 100 people or so from around the world, from 20 countries, and we said, let's try it. And so in that 90-day period, our top 29 teams last year planted 43,000 trees. They started 55 gardens and 2 urban farms. They did 80,000 voter outreach contacts. They did COVID relief. They did typhoon relief. They built their own materials recovery facilities in their communities in the Philippines. I mean, it was just incredible to see what people were able to do. And so we're so excited because this year we have teams already from Cabo Verde and from Zimbabwe and Barbados, from Kenya and Uganda. But you know what? We do have one team right now signed up from Denver, and this is Lee's team, and she's going to mention that in a moment. But we would love to get Denver on the map. So the challenge starts August 18th. It's free, and we help you go from passion to action in 90 days. So one of the big things that we talk about is finding partners. And so with that, I want to start by introducing you to 2 amazing people, which is KASEY, Neis, and Fatima, Ahmad with FrontLine Farming. So I'm going to bring them on first and let them introduce, we know how important food is. We know how important food sovereignty is and getting people trained, and environmental justice and food justice, and these guys are right at the forefront. And so I think their example of what they've started shows how you also can do that and how you can work with them. So with that, I'm going to bring on Fatima and KASEY, and I'm going to hop off the screen here if you guys want to unmute yourselves, and I'll let you take it away for a few minutes, and then I'll come back in a little bit.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting us and valuing our voices and hearing our story today. We're excited to be here and are all living through the realities of climate chaos right now, particularly in Colorado, as we see smoke coming in from fires that aren't even here, and just so much of the realities that we're having to deal with in terms of our environment as we're just out there trying to farm. So we want to tell you a little bit today about the work that we do at FrontLine Farming and how we've organized ourselves and who we are, and invite and welcome you to check out our research, the work that we try to do for our communities, and of course to check us out in our space and land. So my name's Fatima Ahmad. I am the head farmer executive director and co-founder of FrontLine Farming. We are based here in the Front Range, Denver, Colorado, and our mission specifically is to create greater equity across our food system on the Front Range. We specifically seek to support and create greater leadership and access for women of people and color in our food systems, and we achieve these goals through growing food, listening, educating, honoring land, direct action, and policy work. So that's a lot. I'm going to just kind of jump in and say who we are and then talk to you a little bit about the ethics with which we approach our work, because food systems work is so complex and so big. We've seen under the pandemic the kinds of crises we've hit and the ways that we operate our food system. So we're trying to think of different ways to honor and center forms of knowledge that have always directed us towards regenerative knowledge and work in land and with people and right relationship in those ways. So who we are a BIPOC and women-led organization, specifically working towards food sovereignty and farmer liberation. What we do, we operate 5 acres of land across 3 farms in the Denver metro area region. Our biggest farm is about 2 acres. And our motto is that, we grow soil, we grow food, we grow love. We're very much soil stewards and believe that, if we take care of our soil, that we can grow any of the food that we need to grow in terms of high nutrient density, culturally appropriate foods. What we do, KASEY's going to talk to you all a lot more about the programming and how we engage with food itself. But I'm going to jump into a little bit of the ethics around the ways in which we organize ourselves. So one of the things that we look at is food security. And so food security is really thinking about addressing immediate food needs of our communities and offering the foods that they want. We have specific programs that look at that. So while we know that there are greater systems issues that cause people to be socially neglected, disenfranchised, or historically oppressed around food, labeling our communities food deserts when we know these are really food apartheid systems spread across particularly Black and Brown communities. We know that we want to look at structure change, but we got to meet people where they are, and that's by bringing good food to them. We also think about organizing ourselves around justice. And so food justice to us means addressing the institutions that perpetuate the segregation and distribution of food and applying the same systems for change. To us, justice really thinks about looking at the same systems that have historically oppressed us in order to make change within them. We know that the work of justice is not really the work of liberation and the new worlds we want to be in, and particularly for BIPOC communities, it's really just looking at policies like the National Labor Relations Act in 1935 that racially excluded agriculture workers and domestic workers from all labor protection, something we've been working on for our ag workers. And so that's just trying to bring ag workers who are 60 to 70% Black and Brown in Colorado to par with other industries. And so that's not really asking everything for them and recognizing the dignity that should be uplifted for the heroes that have come in during these pandemics and are always there. Food sovereignty for us is addressing the true spiritual, mental, and physical needs of our communities and really being in control of the means of production. And for that, it means that we really believe in self-representation, questioning epistemology. So thinking about the ways that people tell us we know things that we know. When we look at the crisis that happened in our food system with the pandemic, it doesn't really make sense to go back to the same thinkers that created these systems. We have to think about the forms of knowledge that are there and are going to help us build these brighter futures and center them and honor them. And centering future leaders, knowledge keepers, building our foodways, creating ceremonies from different cultures, questioning language, Um, and so, yeah, liberation is kind of the work of us being on the land and navigating ways of us being in right relationship with each other. Just important to know that while we're a BIPOC-led organization, that, you know, communities of color are so diverse and not just one type of people, and have so many different cultures and ways that they bring and have historically brought to our foodways in the United States. So with that, I'm going to pass it to KASEY, who's going to talk to y'all a little bit about community engagement and some of our programming to accomplish this.
Thanks, Fatima. So as Fatima mentioned, people of color are often equated with poverty, and what Frontline kind of shifts is this narrative of like, oh, instead of positioning charitable and social aid organizations as serving people of color and women and all of these other marginalized groups, Frontline Farming places those folks at the production, at the top, at the both sides of the access system, so that we're not just talking about who we're serving, but who we are. It's two sides of the same coin. And so community engagement often does not include the production of theory and academic thought. And so what we mean by that is that when we engage community, it's not just the service oriented, where we know everything and we're serving the community. It's that there's a lot of embedded knowledge, there's a lot of embedded theory that community holds that we both acknowledge and lift up. We often use that knowledge to kind of show how these communities have assets, and we approach all this work in an asset-based framework. So it's not that you have like trouble with accessing food. It's that we're increasing food access that might already exist. We approach all communities as they are never with nothing. They always have something that they can use, and we can use together to build collective power. And so a big part of our work is seeking sovereignty over our own data, over our own stories within agriculture and within climate chaos and all of these environmental changes and crises. Last summer, we had fires, and we had COVID, and we had the pandemic of racism affecting all of us within our communities. And being able to activate this data about us in a way that tells the story that we know to be true is part of the work we do here. So it's not just farming, it's not just data and service, it's all of it together. And so the last thing I'll talk about, let me switch this slide, is just kind of an overview of the programs we have. We have a Healing Foods program. So as Fatima mentioned, we have 5 acres across the Denver metro. And so through our Healing Foods program, we donate a good percentage of the produce, of our farmed produce, to local families and local food pantries, and get it out into the community to address food access issues and food apartheid issues. We also have a no-cost grocery, and so that is like a food rescue type program. But it's also more than that. We've partnered with many different organizations across both Denver and Colorado. So before the pandemic, we were hosting a no-cost grocery where people could walk up and pick and choose what they wanted from the grocery that we got donated from the Food Bank of the Rockies or from local grocery stores. Now in COVID, we've partnered with other organizations who already have these pop-up pantries. So we bring them grocery produce that some of it might come from the farm, some of it might not, and help it distribute to the community. Part of that shift was also, as Fatima mentioned, agricultural workers who are working in rural areas and have to face food apartheid and low access to food in the midst of our 90, 95, 100 degree weather out there. And so our no-cost grocery not only serves pantries in the local area, but we do food distribution across the entire state to rural areas to make sure the folks who are growing our food also have access to food. We have a CSA and market stands throughout the year. Our CSA, 25% is dedicated to SNAP or WIC clients. So we offer either reduced cost or no cost food boxes every week for 16 weeks to SNAP and WIC. And then you can also buy into the CSA, which supports our programming as well as farm income. We have SNAP assistance. So I myself am trained to help community members navigate the SNAP application program. So that's food stamps. And then we have other folks who come in and out who help with SNAP applications as well, to make sure the folks who want to have access to our farmed produce can have access, and reducing barriers to food within our direct influence in the Denver metro. This year, we launched our BIPOC Farmer Apprenticeship Program. So this is a brand new program this year. We have an inaugural cohort of, I think it's 4 apprentices this year. We kept it small because it's a pilot program and it's, we're still in COVID, so we wanted to make sure everyone was safe. But these 4 apprentices are learning what it means to be a farmer. A lot of our community are distanced from generational farming knowledge, and so we're reviving a lot of that knowledge within these communities, as well as teaching them about very hands-on experience on our farms. We have a volunteer program, which I think someone dropped the link in the chat. You can volunteer with us.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's on this Saturday. And then we have 2 other programs, the data activism and policy work, which is my area. I didn't even introduce my title. I apologize. My name is KASEY, and I'm the data activist and systems manager. And so I do a lot of the data activism work, which is basically this data sovereignty is like, how do we tell our own stories? Where are the gaps in data that diminish the way we tell our own stories, and how do we activate data in a way that community can use it and reclaim it as their own knowledge and data about themselves. And then the last is a knowledge series. So we do various different classes throughout the summer and throughout the year to help develop farming and natural knowledge in our community. And so right now we do have a herbalism knowledge series. Next Wednesday, the 4th, is a class on Herbalism 101, and you can check that out on our website and register for that class as well. So that's all I got, and I want to say thank you for everyone.
Wow, it was so great. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm so excited about being able to know about your guys' work and to be able to feature it. And the other thing that it really shows to me is this idea that we talk about, that you are the expert in your community, and a lot of our problems come by like thinking somebody else is going to be better at figuring out what really needs to happen. And so love what you guys are doing, and being able to share that. So if anybody here in Denver is like, I want to do something around food sovereignty, I want to know how to get Black and brown farmers or women or whoever to figure this stuff out and be leaders and thought leaders, then this is a great group to know about and to model yourself after. And so thank you so much, KASEY and Fatima, for bringing us this information today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited. And also, as I said, so July 31st, which is Saturday, we're doing a volunteer day. So definitely come out with us. And I got to go a couple times and meet JASMIN, and it was so fun. I was like, we got to do more of this. So thank you both. And the contact info is there in the chat. All right. Okay, so we are going to, I'm just going to kind of give you like a quick overview of who all is going next. We're going to go to Chris WOODBURN next with Denver Public Schools, and then we'll be going to JASMIN BARCO with EcoCycle, and then Christina Welch with Jovial Concepts, and then RECCA with Urban Reclamation, and then Brandy Mo with paint care. And each presenter is going to do, 5 or 10 minutes or so, just kind of give us a little background of what they're out there doing and ways that you can work together. So let's turn it over. We got Chris. He's out in the garden. He's already been sweating and running around. So this is Chris with Denver Public Schools, and I'll just let you take it away from there, Chris. Excited to have you here today. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me and including me. So, yep, I'm out at the Manual Garden working with some of the Lincoln Hills volunteers as they revitalize the garden at Manual High School. I think I have the best job in the city because my job is to do summer programming for special needs students to develop job skills in the Garden of Youth program. And then I oversee 126 gardens in the district. We add about 6 a year. And it's just a whole lot of fun. I'm so glad to be back outside working with students, making a difference and growing food for our community. During COVID last year, we didn't have students out in our gardens, but it was really amazing to see how many more volunteers stepped up, and we actually produced about 4 times the produce we do in any given year for food banks and for our own food distributions at our schools. So it was just neat to see that. And I think after this year, we'll probably have doubled what we did last year. The program has just grown. I work under the umbrella of sustainability in Denver Public Schools, and we're on the operations side, but we still support student clubs, initiatives, sustainability initiatives around the district, and I will hopefully be able to share the slideshow of what we do. Okay. Oh, that's not what I need to do.
Maybe
Okay.
You got it.
All right. So yes, we have a team of 8 in sustainability. 3 of our team members just optimize buildings, making sure they're as efficient as possible and as comfortable as possible, optimal learning environments for our students. And the rest of our team does everything from managing utilities, looking into more sustainable design practices when we build or remodel buildings, schools. We also work a lot with planning and design and grounds to optimize irrigation systems. We've just piloted 27 schools, and we'll get to that, with a weather track that allows us to really be more responsible with our water usage. One of our awesome projects that we did was the E.V. Dennis campus out in Green Valley Ranch. It was a very sustainable campus. It was finished in 2012, but we do a lot of biophilic design, making sure that our students are in environments that are better for learning, that they can see nature outside the windows, that we're using passive solar design so that we're lighting the spaces with as much natural light as possible. This school also has one of 2 geothermal heating and cooling systems. So we actually pump hot air from the building out into under a field during the summer, and then we pump warm air out of the field back into the building during winter. There's also a large solar array on that building, and it's LEED Gold certified. This is the campus from the air. You can see the huge solar array there. When the pictures before were from that central building, right now there are 6 buildings there, and at least 6 schools share that space. Adam and Eric on the team really are the ones who are championing the sustainable design practices, coordinating, making sure that every opportunity we have to be sustainable, we can do that, and then implementing stronger sustainable requirements for our construction and renovation from our contractors. One of the things we love to celebrate is how much energy savings we've been able to accomplish. When DPS first started the sustainability department, it was one man named Jim Fays, and his main task was just to reduce our utility usage. And that started in, I believe, 2008. And since then, even as we've added more buildings, we've added more air conditioning to cope with our increased summer temperatures. but we have been able to optimize and put in more efficient equipment, which allows us to actually have less electrical usage than we did in 2008, even with all that new equipment and buildings. Our Department of Sustainability, we have payroll, but everything else is funded through grants and through rebates that we get from Excel on energy efficient lighting systems that we put in, and other HVAC equipment. And that is what funds what we do. And so it's challenging, but it's also rewarding, and we're proud of what we've been able to accomplish. 47 of our schools have solar on them. We add a few more, and you can see a picture of the solar there, and down below that is the geothermal heating and cooling system that pumps out of one of our buildings and into that field. The blue lines going out are actually underground. Eric really works on our waste diversion. We have recycling all of our buildings, composting in 45, and that means cafeteria composting, as well as what's coming out of the grass clippings and leaves and landscape maintenance. Right now, that is on hold as far as cafeteria composting because students aren't eating in the cafeteria during COVID, but we're working with back of house to make sure that as much that compost and food waste that we can goes back into the ground where it can feed the earth, rather than going into a landfill where it produces methane. I've started talking about the water savings. So we added smart irrigation systems that can detect leaks. And if they detect when water is flowing when it should not be, it will send an email to our grounds team so we can get out there and fix it. If it happens twice, it actually turns off that zone so that that leak does not continue. It also will know if we need to increase or decrease irrigation depending on temperature and precipitation. And right now, it's working really great, and we're seeing the benefits of having those 27 schools. Our goal is within the next 5 to 10 years, have all of our 208 sites with smart irrigation. Our gardens of 120 at 126 right now and growing. All of our schools with gardens can participate in youth farm stands to provide students opportunities not just to grow the food, but to market and sell it as well. And then schools can also participate in garden to cafeteria programs, which allow them to become vendors and sell the produce to the cafeterias and get paid for it. And some of our schools that are very successful in garden to cafeteria, they actually are able to all of their what they would need for compost, fertilizer, plants is paid for through the funds they receive by growing that produce and getting it onto the plates of our students in the cafeterias. We have paid internship opportunity through Garden of Youth, which provides job skills, intensive 1 to 4 job skill development with a job coach, so that these students after 10 weeks can be successful getting and keeping a job and making sure that they have more independence and more control of their lives after they leave high school. And we're excited to now have opportunities where schools can apply to keep bees, chickens, and we will be piloting goats this spring. We're excited for that. And then I also want to shout out our student clubs and the Youth Sustainability Board, which is a growing group of school clubs and alum that work together to really make sure that our sustainability and enviro and green clubs are working together and having a much larger impact on the district and the broader community. We're excited. Our students have developed a sustainability resolution. They've gone in front of our school board twice, and they're on the docket to go formally present in front of the school board the 3rd week of August. But what they're asking is that they make sustainability a core value for our district, and that will change everything very quickly if that passes. How can anyone connect with us? We have tons of garden volunteers, either as groups or individuals. You can adopt a garden, and community partners like Grow Local, Sustained Farms have done fantastic work, both in our gardens growing produce for the community and for really mentoring students and educators in how to grow successfully here in Colorado. We also do campus cleanups, and you can connect with myself or the facility manager at any school to see what would be best. Also, we always love to have sustainability and energy professionals come to share what they do, what they know, and about that career with our students. And that would be anywhere from kindergartners through high school and beyond. We also do a lot of corporate volunteer work days where you can call us up and we'll set you up for one or more days that we can get together and clean up gardens and get them ready, or other campus projects, planting trees. We always need help with our green, enviro, and sustainability clubs, making sure they have mentors and people that can advocate for them, kind of know which direction to take a project. And you're always welcome to sponsor a garden or a Garden of Youth, our job skills program, because we are grant funded and we're always able to do it, but it's always on a shoestring. If you want to learn more or connect to volunteer, you can check out our website. We also have resources. If you're just a gardener and kind of want to know when should I plant what, we've got a calendar up there letting you know when it's time, and we track hail and things like that so that we can see really what's going on in any given year and what's going on year after year with our weather and our gardens and our schools. All right, and that is it for my presentation.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, well, that's so exciting. You know, I worked in food service in 2016 in one of the middle schools, and it was interesting because at that time I had some ideas about doing some recycling, and what we were told was, hey, if it's a student-led initiative, it's going to go a lot quicker. And then when I talked to people and said, well, who's going to help the students? The teachers were saying, well, we're kind of busy. If a volunteer in the community would come forward, then so it just shows kind of the whole snowball effect, that if somebody will come forward and do that little bit of coordination, then that can be a way to activate those student voices and make a lot of that stuff happen. So it's great for people to know that they can reach out to you, Chris, and to the sustainability group, get connected with eco clubs and gardens and all that great stuff going forward. So thanks for all that you do, and I'm glad you're enjoying their best job on the planet.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I mean, I'm an East Angel, so I'm a DPS alumni. I'm not sure what if that's good advertisement or not. Yeah, so we are going to bring up, I keep wanting to talk about everything that Fatima said and KASEY and Chris, but we're going to have more things to talk about as we go. So I hope this gets you excited of like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can do something. I can make it happen. So sign up for our challenge. And if you want to do something around zero waste, then you got to know EcoCycle. If you're doing stuff in the Denver metro area, JASMIN, started working in Denver, and it has not been the same since, which is a good thing. And JASMIN have had a lot of chance to work together. So yeah, JASMIN, take it away. Let us know what's going on and how people can get involved.
Definitely. Thank you, Joe. So I work for a zero waste nonprofit called EcoCycle. They've been around since 1976, and I'm actually the first person working in Denver and organizing in Denver. I've been here in Denver for the past 4 years now. And we have a Zero Waste Denver campaign. And really it's a two campaign. So the first goal is to pass something called Pay As You Throw in the city of Denver. So currently those in 7 units or below get free trash and recycling, and composting is $9.75 a month. But we think, hold up, if anything is free, it should be recycling and composting, and trash should be the thing that's charged for based on the amount that's sent to the landfill. So that's called a Pay As You Throw or volume-based pricing system, where recycling and composting are the standard service or the things that are incentivized, and trash production or burying things in the landfill is charged for based on the amount that is sent to the landfill. It's been a little crazy. I've been working on this for the past 4 years, and funny enough, Pay As You Throw has been discussed in the city of Denver for the past 40 years. So it's definitely time to pass it. I'm happy to say that like city council members are briefed on what pay as you throw is. They know about this. They have heard from a lot of constituents throughout the city saying like, hey, this is what we have to do to make a difference. We should all be composting our waste to create healthy soil. That healthy soil then helps sequester carbon from the atmosphere. Denver is already recycling all they can and doing a great job at it. Well, actually, there's a tiny little bit more recycling that could be saved from the landfill. The city did an analysis of what went to the landfill, and they saw that out of 100% of the things that went to the landfill, 50% could have been composted. So that is the huge gap that we need to bridge. That's why we need composting, because that will get us to above average in our diversion rate. And 25% of what was buried could have been recycled. Well, if you're in 7 units or below in the city of Denver and get like a black cart and a purple cart, you can definitely call 311 and get a second purple cart free of charge. Since recycling comes every other week and doesn't come every week. So that's how you can bridge the recycling gap a little bit more. But we really are trying to get more to adopt the green compost cart right now. There's an amazing initiative as well called the Denver Compost Challenge, which has been going like door to door, like talking with neighbors and other people about the green cart and just showing them how easy it is to use the green cart. You don't have to bag any of like your yard waste. You could just put it straight in the green cart. And the way that I compost is with the green cart, the city will give you a mini kitchen compost caddy. And I usually buy compostable bags, put my food waste in there, and then I freeze it. And then I actually live in Aurora, so I don't even have the privilege of having a cart, but I freeze all of my compost and I take it over to a drop-off center with Womxn in Aurora. So yeah, a lot of folks have to jump over hoops and hurdles to do the right thing. And we're almost there in Denver, so please support our campaign. I will put it in the chat here. It's ecocycle.org/ZeroWasteDenver. And there you can sign a letter, which will automatically go to your city council members and mayors saying like, hey, I support pay as you throw. So please vote yes on this so that we can start to standardize recycling and composting and incentivize it. The second part of the Zero Waste Denver campaign is to provide access to everyone with recycling and composting. So there is a citizen-led ballot initiative called Waste No More Denver, and they need around 4,500 signatures by August 16th to get the Waste No More ballot initiative on the November 2022 ballot. And so this requires apartment complexes with 8 or more units to provide the recycling services. There are so many apartment complexes here in Denver that don't provide service, and the residents have to go and either illegally dump their recyclables somewhere or drive super far to the city's only transfer station, which is in Cherry Creek, to drop off their recyclables. It also requires businesses to provide recycling and or composting. So a business like a grocery store would have to provide composting, for example, since they have a lot of food waste. And also construction demolition to recycle the low-hanging fruit, which would be like metals, cardboard, and concrete. And the last thing that it does is it requires large events to provide recycling and or composting too. There are so many events here in Denver that barely even have trash services. So wouldn't it be great if we had recycling services too for the aluminum cans that are consumed over at large events? So those are the 2 main policy actions that EcoCycle Zero Waste Denver campaign is working towards right now. There is a little bit of an urgency. So yes, please sign the letters. Please find an event. If you go to wastenomoredenver.org, there is a calendar of events, which I will actually put on the chat too. They are at every single Levitt Pavilion show. In order to sign on to this ballot initiative, it has to be in person. Unfortunately, there is no electronic petition signature thing that you can do with this. So definitely go to the calendar of events. I will be at City Park Jazz this Sunday, helping collect signatures. And yes, thank you, Joan, for posting those on the public chat. Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions around the ballot initiative too.
Wow. It's so exciting to have you in Denver and have EcoCycle really here and coordinating things. And, I just want to say that if you are someone that's like, this is driving me crazy that I don't have recycling at my building, or that I don't have a way to compost, that, this is that same thing, that you are the expert in your community. Yes, that's crazy. And yes, we need you to organize the people in your building to make that change, or to work as part of the Eco Leaders group and organize something and make something happen. But again, just being alone and getting frustrated, doing everything that you can by yourself, it's not going to be enough. We really want you to transform yourself and see that, yes, you are an eco leader. And so EcoCycle has this amazing Eco Leaders program. So if you've been wanting to do something in around zero waste, or be part of the compost challenge, or be out there volunteering in events, and you can form a crew and set your own goal, like, okay, I want to get 1,000 signatures on this thing by such and such a date. That would be a great goal for the challenge. And a way, it's so creative, like that. Going to City Park Jazz and talking to people, it feels so much better. And so JASMIN is a really great person to connect with, and for all these things that are going on in Denver and that Waste No More Denver group. So thank you so much, JASMIN, for all your work and for being out there as a starting point for people who really do want to make a difference. Awesome. All right, so we've got JASMIN's contact in there in the chat. And again, so many exciting things. I'd love to talk to everybody and just keep going. But we have some more fun folks to bring on. I'm so excited because next we have Christina Welch. And Christina, from the moment we talk, she's a yes person. I had this crazy idea of, hey, maybe we could mentor a bunch of teams across Denver, but we need some place to meet. And people said, you should really talk to Christina. And it's like, Christina, could we meet at your co-op at the first? And she's like, yes. And can we do this? It's like, yes. And so it's really exciting to, and I know a little bit of your backstory of that same thing of feeling like, I feel like I should do something. And that was the message, is like, yeah, you can. Yes, you should. And so Christina's gone on to start Jovial Concepts and the co-op at first. And so she's going to talk a little bit about that. And it's the same thing. She didn't have the background to do this, but she did it and made it happen. So that's the kind of thing you can work with Christina or do during our 90-day challenge. So let's see. Christina, should we bring up that video? Let's unmute you. There we go.
I could start with a bit of a brief introduction.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
So as Joan said, my name's Christina Welch, and I'm the executive director and founder of a nonprofit called Jovial Concepts that has recently sprung a for-profit co-op. And I just want to say how inspired I am by all the folks that have been on this call so far. Some of them I've had the privilege of partnering with, like JASMIN and EcoCycle. Love all the work FrontLine Farming's doing, and Chris. And, I think just to echo the words of Joan is, it doesn't matter who you are and where you come from. If you have a drive to support your community, support global change, start doing something. And whatever that is, near and dear to your heart, go out and start talking to your community and doing the work, and you will rally a group around you that will support you in that journey. And I can say I've been fortunate in that with my nonprofit, Jovial Concepts. We started in 2009. I was really passionate about events and mentoring. And really quickly, we realized working with kids, working in the schools, that, to echo again, frontline farming, food security in Denver was a major issue. So, we had to start really looking at, the kids hadn't eaten all day. So how do we provide education and activity when they're too tired or lightheaded to participate? And so, that really got us thinking about, my best friend's background in landscaping. And he was like, why don't we just start growing some food? Because the things that we were getting donated were like donuts and stuff that wasn't really going to give these kids energy. So we started transforming lawns into gardens in 2009. We literally went door to door, knocked on 4 or 5 houses, found a few people in our neighborhood that were excited to turn their lawn into a garden and donate the food. We reached out to a couple of food banks and schools, and the rest is history. We've been educating families around food, nutrition, growing seasons for over 10 years now. In 2017, we purchased kind of an old warehouse and called it the Co-op at first. And we've really organically initiated as a space, a community space for over 100 entrepreneurs. So, when Frontline Farming again is saying creating that community access to food, that community access to health, and, to our environment, it's so important. So we work in a lower income neighborhood and really work to create equal access to healthy, organic, nutritious food in Southwest Denver at the Co-op at first. We've got an amazing event space and commercial kitchen. Through COVID, we were able to creatively transition the space into a temporary food bank where we were providing about 15,000 meals a week with our chefs. And the chefs that we hired were, traditionally caterers. Some of them were starting off in a chef incubator, but we recognize we don't need to hire some big company for this. We need to work with our local chefs, our local families. And, so we brought on these chefs, mostly of color, a lot of them immigrant chefs, to create culturally appropriate meals for our neighborhood. And it was just an amazing journey. And I think, no matter how small or big the project is, once you start working in, I think Joan can agree with this, but once you start working in the environmental or nonprofit world, you will really start to see the need. And, what can start as volunteering one time in a garden or at a farm can really turn into a lifelong journey. And so I guess I'll share the video now that's a quick overview of the journey of Jovial Concepts. One of our interns, actually a volunteer, made this cute video. And I would say, instead of where it says donate at the end, come out and volunteer. So every Saturday from 10 to 2, we take volunteers in our gardens. We meet at the Co-op at first, and we go out into the neighborhood and help transform other homeowners' lawns into gardens. We create a connection with our food and with our environment. And this little video shows how we do that.
This is Valeria. She is 6 years old. She loves her neighborhood because she now knows all of her neighbors. They all have a jovial garden where they grow food for their own families and the rest of the community. One day, when Valeria gets home from school, her mom begins to prepare a snack for her and her son. Some carrots. Finally, she dances to Tatiana's house. Tatiana, come help me pick some broccoli. Mom, look at our healthy snack. I'll prepare the snack for us. I learned to make this at the co-op at first. Woohoo! Yum! I'm going to add some ranch, even though it's not as healthy. Valeria's story is one of our greatest successes at Jovial Concepts. It proves that our programs create sustainable communities for everyone. With your financial support, Jovial Concepts will continue to build healthy, safe, and sustainable communities with fresh food. Thank you for considering an investment in Valeria and so many families like hers. Give today at jovialconcepts.org. Thank you for supporting sustainable communities.
So that's our video, and thank you so much for watching. I think, again, we've worked with so many kids over the years that have said, I don't want to eat tomatoes, I don't like vegetables, and when you get a kid eating fresh out of the garden, I've never had a student have a fresh picked tomato from the vine and still say that they don't love vegetables. So I think, anywhere we can start connecting kids and families with the environment, even if it's starting a small garden in your own yard, I think it's just a fantastic step to supporting climate change and, really taking a stand against, unethical farming practices. And thanks again, Joan, for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, that was so great. I love that little video. I mean, and I remember you saying that's basically a true story. And, so having that kind of thing. And again, think of it, everyone that's out there thinking, gosh, I wonder if I could start something. Like just being able to, when you have a community together, then you can respond. So you might think you're going to do one project, but being able to do 15,000 meals a week during the pandemic, that's because you had this community center and this community ethic. And so congrats on all that building, and can't wait to see what's next. But yeah, definitely check out. So we put the links there for Jovial Concepts and the co-op at first. So thank you so much, Christina.
Thanks, Joan.
All right, so here we go. So next we're on to Lee, and Lee RECCA is going to be talking. I've been taking the Denver Permaculture Guild course, so I've been getting to hang out with Lee this year, and it's been really fun as we've collaborated a lot going forward. So I'm just going to let you take it over, Lee, and tell us a bit about whatever you want to talk about. I think it's this idea of designing with nature, and again, realizing if you're there and nature's there, then you can make a difference. You can make something happen. And Lee's got kind of some ideas of how to move forward with that.
Thank you, Joan. Yes, I'm representing the Highline Permaculture project that we are starting on the eastern edge of Denver. The Highline Canal and Trail is a 71, let's see, are you seeing my slideshow here?
Yeah. Do you want it up now? Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
The Highline Canal and Trail is a 71-mile trail that runs through starting way down in Waterton Canyon and going all the way up almost to the Denver airport. It is used by more than 500,000 people each year. And the part of the trail that our permaculture project is concerned with is where the trail crosses over from Denver into Aurora. And this trail is used by hikers, bikers, commuters, and it's also used by wildlife. There are almost 200 species of birds, and I have a picture of the western tanager here. There are small mammals and reptiles. And
Let's see, Lee, I'm not sure if it's advancing. Did you advance to that slide? I don't think I can control it from here.
I see.
There we go. Now we're seeing the bird.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. Looks good.
All right. So we're seeing not only wildlife, but also many plants, including 24,000 large trees. So this is kind of a lifeline that goes through Denver and connects plants, people, and wildlife. So during the pandemic, the trail became more important to people. They needed to get outside to have healthy contact with open places and trails, and to get exercise and so on. And so it has even greater importance to the community, and it brings a sense of climate in terms of, rain, soil, water, air, all of the elements that keep our environment healthy. So the part of the trail that we're going to focus on in this project is connects many thousands of people who live in the high density housing to the west and north of the trail with mass transit zones on Havana Street to the east. And it's the only access that they have to this mass transit area. So we see that it's really important for people, immigrants, people of color, and other marginalized groups to be able to commute and to exercise and to be in nature. So that's one of the reasons why we're focusing on this area. They also forage in this area because immigrant peoples understand and use edible and culturally appropriate foods, which are prevalent on the trail. And we want to encourage that. So the part of the trail that we're going to be focusing on goes from west to east. And the west part, there is an entrance to the trail from Gill Place. And it is suitable for a pollinator garden, a food forest, or a demonstration garden.
Is there another slide? We're looking at the one that during the pandemic trail use.
Just about ready to go to the next slide.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure if I'd stuck the display. So
right. But let me finish by saying on the east part of the project area, there's more than half an acre that can be used for a gathering place, for growing food, demonstrations, and school field trips and experiments and things like that. There are 3 schools that are close to this area. So the Highline Conservancy is a community group that is charged with building community leadership and commitment to preserving and protecting and enhancing the canal and trail. And the canal and trail itself is owned by Denver Water, and they work in partnership with the Conservancy to make sure that this precious resource is well used. So the Conservancy is now inviting proposals, and that's what our project is designed to do, is to develop and design a permaculture project for this part of the trail. And they are interested in a proposal and are willing and able to raise funding and provide funding and resources for the development of the project. So we're pretty excited about that. What can permaculture bring to this project? I have been teaching permaculture for several years now, and we have over 500 graduates of the permaculture design class, including some students who are working on developing this project and its design to the conceptual and detailed design stage. And that's part of what Joan is involved in. And we would like some people to join us for our team who are interested in this work on the Highline Trail, and also to learn more about permaculture in the process. So the ethics of permaculture are earth care, people care, and fair share. And we will use these as our guiding principles to bring sustainability and climate mitigation to the Highline Trail. And we would like for you to join us. So I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, you know, this just, again, it just shows that same thing. So Dr. Violeta Garcia, she's on the Highline Conservancy now, but it was her property and her ideas of, wow, this is her property, and then the Highline area right next to it. And it's so exciting that a small group of people could come up with this project. And then, as we keep saying, there are resources, there are people that want to support you, but they need a small group of committed people who are willing to get people's vision. I know that was it like 2 weeks ago that there was a meeting with the neighborhood, and did kind of not a design charrette, but, you know, just getting people's interests and ideas flowing. And I think the main thing that people don't realize with doing environmental work this way is how creative and fun it is. It's completely different than telling people, stop using plastic straws. You know, like, you're driving crazy. Why are you doing this? This really flips it around and makes it something that is enjoyable for you as a person, but that also then attracts people to want to support you, to support your vision to bring their ideas into the vision. So I just want to thank you so much, Lee, for spearheading all of this, and it's been so fun being part of the permaculture design course this spring and summer.
Great, thank you, Joan.
So I just put in the chat that one way to do it is just go ahead and register for the challenge and say you want to be part of the Highline Permaculture project and put Lee's name in there, and we'll get you connected. So that's great. All right. Thank you so much, Lee, for coming on and talking with us today, and for being the first Denver-based project in the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge. Thanks for putting Denver on the map. All right. So now we've got Brandy Mo with Paint Care, and I'm so excited to learn from Brandy because I know that there have been some different like sustainable neighborhoods groups that have done some paint recycling and other things, and that people are so appreciative to have someone that brings this kind of expertise and these kind of resources. And one of the things that we encourage people when you're doing the 90-day challenge is to plan a day of action, because what we found is that when people get together, they have so many different ideas, and when you try to plan something really complicated with a bunch of people that you don't know, it doesn't always go very well. But if you can start by planning a day of action, then you can focus on one specific day, one specific event, and figure out who's for real, who's fun to work with, who really shows up, who has time. And from there, you get a lot of excitement, and then you can move on to whatever's next. So doing something with Paint Care, I think, would be an awesome way to start a group. If you're thinking of doing something with your business, your faith community, your neighborhood, whoever, in Denver. And I think Brandy's in the middle of doing something like that right now today. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Brandy.
You're welcome. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, take it away.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, my name is Brandy Mo, and I work for Paint Care in Colorado, and I'm coming to you today from a coffee shop in Black Hawk because we are hosting a relatively large paint take-back event, a paint recycling take-back event just north of here at the rec center. So if it gets a little too loud, kind of wave your hands, I guess. But I would love to begin by just quickly going over what the Paint Care program is, just for folks that might have a couple of questions about it. So Paint Care is a nonprofit, and we manage the paint recycling programming in the state of Colorado and 9 other states, which is pretty cool. We are a stewardship organization, and we were created by the paint manufacturers like the Sherwin-Williams, the big paint makers and whatnot. And we were created to manage leftover paint in states that have passed paint stewardship laws. So in Colorado, we passed our paint stewardship law back in 2014. And so since 2015, every can of paint that anyone has purchased in Colorado, whether you're a business owner or a resident, there's a small fee tacked on to that sale of new paint. And then that fee then pays for all of the recycling infrastructure in the state of Colorado. And again, the 9 other states that have passed paint stewardship programs. So I might be biased, but I think we're pretty lucky in Colorado to have this really cool program. I think this is amazing, and this has gone up year by year by year. But where we're at right now is that upwards of 83% of the total latex paint that comes in through the Paint Care program is recycled into new paint, and we call it recycled content paint. We have 2 paint recyclers in the state of Colorado, which is also super lucky for us. We have Green Sheen in Denver, and they are a pretty large paint recycler at this point. And we also have Southern Colorado Services in Recycling, and they're in Pueblo. So that is where almost every single drop of the latex paint that's and fortunately, they're still just looking into different options for recycling fill-based paint, but At this point, oil-based paint is generally utilized as, sometimes it's incinerated, sometimes it's utilized and burned for energy. But right now, there's no like super good ways to recycle oil-based paint. But the majority of the paint that comes in through the program is latex anyway. And as of this past July, it was last July, we have collected 4 million gallons of paint in the state of Colorado to be recycled. So that is very, very cool. Super quickly, the other 9 states that also have the same program it's all the states on the West Coast. So Washington, Oregon, California, a bunch of the upper East Coast states like Connecticut, Maine, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, D.C., the state of New York just joined. So that is a huge undertaking. That's a state with a lot of people. We're really pumped about that. And then there's Minnesota and Colorado. So just to give you an idea of where the paint program is in our nation. So super quickly, we are able to collect paint in the state of Colorado in a number of different ways. We are required by the state to provide 90% of Colorado residents access to a drop-off site within 15 miles of their home. So if you can imagine, that's somewhat easy to do, in the bigger towns and stuff like that, but kind of difficult to do in the rural areas. We currently have 183 drop-off sites all throughout the state. So, and it grows every single year. And so we're super happy to say we're actually, there are 95.5% of Colorado residents that have access to a drop-off site within 15 miles of their home. So we're actually exceeding our goal. And in the places where we don't have enough drop-off sites, where folks have to drive a little bit more than 15 miles to find one, we host events like rural events in the summer. And again, that's why I'm in Blackhawk today. There is not a drop-off site in Blackhawk. So we are holding an event so that everyone in the community can come out. It's only the one time, per year, so you have to be ready, but they can drop off as much paint as they want. So we're really trying to make sure that we're in the communities that need us the most. And in terms of Denver, though, there are some really exciting options. So I didn't count, but there's probably like 20-ish drop-off sites throughout the Denver metro area. To find the one that works best for you, just go to the Paint Care website, which is paintcare.org, and type in your address, and a little map will come up and it'll show you all the sites that are close to you that are convenient. But we have just started a new program in the Denver metro area in a bunch of counties: Arapahoe, Adams, Broomfield, Denver, Douglas, and Jefferson counties. We are doing a door-to-door program. So we will come to your door and pick up your paint if you live in those counties in the Denver metro area. You just have to have 10 gallons of paint or more. So if you don't have 10 gallons of paint, just ask your neighbor. I bet you can come up with 10 gallons pretty quickly. And just to mention, we also are doing this in Colorado Springs too, in El Paso and Teller counties. So spread the word if you know folks there, or if anyone's on this meeting too, of course. This is a pilot program. We're not sure how long we'll be able to run it, but get it while it's hot. It's great. We also have a large volume pickup program, and that is for anyone throughout the state of Colorado. If you have 100 gallons of paint, and you are like a resident, there's some restrictions. If you're like a paint store, we have to kind of figure out like, hey, is this the type of paint that should have just been sold or whatever. But there's a large volume pickup program that if you have 100 gallons of paint, we'll come pick it up throughout the state of Colorado. So I know I keep focusing on the whole state, but I feel like I sort of have to mention all that. I have been so fascinated listening to everyone today and everyone's presentations. I feel very connected to everything that every person said. I think it's so important to support your community gardens, compost anything that you have that's organic if you can, and just recycle as many items as humanly possible. We have so many options in Denver to increase waste diversion. but sometimes folks just don't think about paint, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that we're also thinking about keeping that paint out of the landfill. And, I just wanted to quickly mention too, in the nation, we have now collected 50 million gallons of paint. That is just so crazy. So since the Oregon program began in 2010. So yeah, there's all kinds of things we could do in Denver and beyond to increase our waste diversion. And thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Brandy. Yeah, that's so fascinating. I've just known like kind of little bits and pieces of this. So if there is somebody, let's say that there is like a sustainable neighborhood team or faith community or somebody or a school that would want to do something and do something around paint recycling, what would they just reach out to Paint Care, or how? What are some ideas that you have that as a team, as a group, that they could do something to kind of build? I mean, it's incredible to me that, as you said, 95% of Colorado residents have a drop-off within 15 miles of their home. I bet a lot of people don't know that. So I'd love to hear what you'd recommend if a group of people get together. What could they do, or where should they start?
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, the Paint Care program has been in Colorado for 6 years. And I still run across people all the time that are like, what? What's Paint Care? We have paint recycling, you know? I mean, I have to say, one of the best things that folks could do in Denver is just spread the word a little bit. It's like if it doesn't go for folks' heart, people just don't think about it. But in terms of having community events and stuff like that, there are options to do so. Paint Care, we work with municipalities and counties and stuff to hold events, kind of like these bigger events. But lots of organizations work directly with Green Sheen, the paint recycler in Denver, to organize the kind of community events. And Paint Care is still, Paint Care pays for that paint to be recycled, but Paint Care, it's myself and my manager, Kevin, and we just hired Jeff Hengskin. And so it's 3 people to manage the entire recycling program of Colorado. Like, we just can't, host tons of small events. But again, Green Sheen, the paint recycler in Denver, you want to get on their list early, like actually talk to them in the winter time, because they generally just do the events, in the nice weather months and things like that. And people are definitely starting to find out that they will host events like that with them and for them. And so that would be your best bet for sure. And then again, just spreading the word about the fact that, you can have an event, and event feels awesome and it's collective, but you can drop off your paint 7 days a week, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be an event.
It could be kind of like building off the model of the Compost Challenge, where there's just teams that are out there and they go to events and they talk to people about composting, and they help people understand there are options. And so I could see something like that. And so a team could say, okay, we want to have 100 conversations about paint recycling. How should we do it? And that would be super cool, because the whole infrastructure is there, and they just need to kind of organize and hear what people's questions are, and how to answer them pretty quickly. So that's so exciting. All right.
Yeah. If you ever need a Paint Care person to come talk to your organization, I know that's something we'd be interested in doing as well.
Terrific. All right. Well, thanks for joining us from the coffee shop in Black Hawk, and good luck with your paint recycling event there. Thanks, Brandy.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Bye. All right. So we have 2 more speakers to join, and they both sent us a video recording, and I've been so excited to share this one from Madison with you. Madison Hopkins she did our action planning retreat last May. And she's like, I want to start a green business. I'm just getting my real estate license. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. And man, she just nailed it. She went for it and decided that was her brand and started her business as a environmentally focused realtor, and has a podcast called Eco-Friendly Homes. And it's just like a really beautiful story. And because she did all that and started selling homes, then she was able to come back and be a sponsor for the challenge. So it's just such a great story. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. And then there's another one from Anna Burrell, which is with Twigs & Co. And so Twigs & Co. is also one of our sponsors, and they do strategic consulting and development consulting. It's the same thing. It's like you don't have to go it alone. There are people that want to help you and want to figure out ways to help you do more. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do this properly. Share the audio. Okay, so here we go. We'll do Madison's first.
Are you ready to turn your passion for sustainability into action? With the Climate Action Challenge, you can in just 90 days. I'm Madison Hopkins, sponsor for Take the Challenge Denver for the International Climate Action Challenge 2021. I work in Denver as an eco-friendly realtor and host of my own podcast, Eco-Friendly Homes. Last summer, I took one of Green Team Academy's Power Weekend workshops and was able to turn my passion into action by solidifying ways that I can integrate sustainability into my real estate career. This summer, I get to be a sponsor for the International Climate Action Challenge, and I'm so thankful that I'm able to give back to the very thing that helped me get to this success today. The International Climate Action Challenge is a deep dive into your business, helping you figure out who your audience is, how to grow your network partners and your internal business partners, and identifying companies or businesses or ideas that are similar to yours so you can learn from them or maybe even partner up with them. And the last step is launching your business into the world so you can help more people than you ever thought was possible. Basically, it's like Techstars, but specialized for environmental activists. If you'd like to learn more about my work as an eco-friendly realtor, visit movingwithmadison.com and check out my podcast, Eco-Friendly Homes, for bi-monthly inspiration to reduce your home's emissions, live healthier, cleaner, save money, and build community. I'll see y'all in 90 days.
All right, that's so great. So now we'll go into Anna's.
Hi. Hello, fellow climate change impacteers. Coming to you from the neighborhood of 5 Points in Denver, Colorado. Appreciating the international scale of people taking action on climate change in 90 days or less, and also more because we need a lot of action to be done. So thank you for showing up in this moment to do things that benefit the greater good, because we can do lots of things, so why not choose to do good things? Fellow climate action takers, come have a seat with me under this tree. Let's talk for a moment. No matter what part of town you're in, what part of the world you hail from, or what language you happen to speak, thank you for being here. Before we get into anything else, thank you for thinking that change is possible. And not just thinking that change is possible, but taking inspired action to help that become possible. It's through inspired action, and with a bit of guidance, that we can truly shift the world. It's part of why we're here today, and that's part of what the Green Team Academy is all about. How do you take a passion, an idea, a problem that you see out in the world, or a value that you want to add, and bring it into fruition? And, dude, you don't have to work for this. It's so cool. But you already know that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So I'm here to help encourage you, to let you know that it can be done, that yes, systems of overwhelm exist everywhere, but that is why we have each other, and that is part of why we are here. Join us in being part of the collective for greater action, for positive, impactful change for systems that make us feel better instead of make us feel worse. So who are we? We, my business partner Vicki Carey Davis and myself, Anna Burrell, are Twigs & Co. We are the thumbs of the operation, and we are here to change the world. We are a sustainability consulting and implementation firm, and we are broadening the conversations around sustainability to start talking about organizational sustainability. So how are you as an organization, a business, a movement, and take your pick, considering your stakeholders, the people, places, and things, in completing your strategic business objectives? And do you know how they're adding to the conversation and how you can engage with them in a way that makes you stronger? For a lot of people, the answer is no, and that is why please and how this matters to you in your journey through Take the Challenge Denver is that we have spent a very long time building relationships and networks through nonprofits, governments, for-profits, NGOs, and all across the board, amazing people. And Twigs & Co., we happen to be specialists in systemic design and figuring out how to do a bunch of stuff, maybe not a lot of stuff. Connect with us on LinkedIn, find us out in the community, doing volunteer events with amazing organizations. You can find us working on policy work groups and organizations like Good Business Colorado and the Regenerative Recovery Coalition through the Alliance Center here in Denver, Colorado. And you can always find us at events like this, events that inspire people to action and provide a tangible framework for how to get things done. Not only that, but provide a beautiful network of people to connect with. So please, be strange, but don't be a stranger. Come reach out and find Twigs & Co. if you ever need any help with your climate action challenge.
All right. Well, I'm not sure if you were able to hear the volume so much on that last adventure with Anna Burrell, but that was a fun kind of ending, out walking in community and thinking about, wow, what's going on here and what's something that I could do. And that's just what we want to say, is that no matter what your idea is, you're the expert on your community. If you're seeing it, it's making you crazy, you're the one that can do it, whether it's around doing food sovereignty, like we heard from Fatima and KASEY in the beginning, or you want to do something working with Denver Public Schools and reach out to Chris WOODBURN, something with the Eco Club or a school community garden. If you want to do something around solid waste, pay as you throw, more composting, more reasonable kinds of laws, then JASMIN is your person at EcoCycle. And did you notice when Brandy Mo was talking about that paint care, the paint stewardship? Like, that's exactly the kind of logical pricing. You buy paint, you pay a couple extra cents, and then people take care of it at the end. This is the beautiful kind of thing that we can all be working on. And Christina Welch, who founded Jovial Concepts as well as Co-op at First. So if you want to know, be involved in doing lawns to gardens, figure out something in your community, how to do a community center that, Spanish language Zumba classes, and an incubator for immigrants, chefs, like just amazing stuff that they're doing there. So definitely check that out. And then RECCA, thank you so much for signing up as our first challenge for the 2021 International Climate Action Challenge from Denver with the Highline Conservancy Permaculture Project, and Brandy Mo with paint care. Such a great idea, to just be able to get that word out. There's so much infrastructure there that people don't know about, and a small group of people could really make an impact. And then our last two presenters there were Madison Hopkins, and Anna, who are both of our sponsors, helping us bring all this out to everybody. So thank you everybody for joining us today, and in summary, take the challenge, Denver. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the 2021 International Climate Action Challenge. Okay, bye.